I broke production, and this is the first time it's happened to me, and it was bad. It didn't just take one part of our business down, everything crashed out. Everything that could have crashed out, crashed out. And in my defense, I tested my work locally. I tested it on a staging environment, and everything looked like it worked fine. But then when it got to production, everything just broke. So what went wrong? I'll first describe what I was actually trying to do. I was trying to change a query for an endpoint that gets booking information. And I wanted to add some fields to this booking information. So I changed the query and added a left join on the end of it. And then I also added a where condition checking conditions on this table that I had added. And I just thought this was a simple change, so I made the change. I tested it in my API client. The fields were returning fine. I tested it on staging. It did the same thing. It was fine. I checked the website to see whether the values were coming through and it didn't break anything. It didn't. I checked the app to see if that had been affected. Nope, it all looked fine. But then, like I mentioned, when I deployed to prod, everything broke. And I'm going to explain why. This big query that I was very scared to add to was fast because the database could use an index on the ID to narrow down the booking and then join the other tables. But when I added the left join and an or condition at checking that new table, the database couldn't filter using that index anymore. Instead, it had to evaluate the join first and then apply the filter, which means processing way more rows, which, of course, on large databases would completely crash it out, which is what happened. And the reason I didn't realize is because I tested it on our local and staging environments, and the data isn't like so extensive on there. So I didn't notice that anything was crashing. And bear in mind, my PR was approved by 3 other people more senior than me. So this was missed by everyone who reviewed it as well. And just because it's got approvals doesn't mean it's completely safe. So of course, before I understood all this, everything was down. It was a bit of a disaster, but what happened is my PR just got reverted and then everything was back and running within an hour. So it wasn't the most destructive thing because it was very clear that after I released my PR, everything broke. But I saw this as a learning opportunity. I had only had like a rough idea of what indexing was and didn't really understand it that deeply, which is why I wouldn't have spotted the issue here. And so I took the time to fully understand why the left join and the or condition caused this to slow down. In terms of the code fix, instead of trying to solve everything with one big query, I split the logic into 2 steps. First, I ran a separate query that selected the IDs matching the additional condition, and then I combined them using a union to the original IDs. This gave me a list of IDs that satisfied the condition. After that, I then passed those IDs into the main query and filtered them on the where clause. Because the conditions were now separated into smaller queries, the database could then use indexes properly again. And then I made sure I checked this with explain analyze, compared it to my slow call, and it was like, I think 6,000 times faster or something. So yeah, that was what I did in the end. I've come out learning a lot more about SQL, so it's not the end of the world. It was just a learning opportunity, and I thought I'd share it with you because it can be quite scary. I'm sure this is inevitable for anyone working in tech, that they're gonna take something down. So yeah, my first time was 2 years in. So a summary of what I learned: small query changes that look small don't mean they are small, and they can impact something quite a lot. I've now learned to actually test the execution, so you can use these keywords explain, analyze in your database, and it will give you a breakdown of how long the call was and what the steps are PR approval doesn't mean the performance of the query was reviewed, because I guess when you're looking at a PR, you're just seeing, yep, there's evidence that the call works, fine, and the code looks okay. And also when it comes to queries, you really have to think about the index usage and how it could be affected by things like OR conditions. I hope you enjoyed this video and maybe learned something from my mistake. I definitely did. And if you like this video, hopefully I won't be making more of them because I won't break production. But yeah, let me know about your first time breaking production.